Now I'm trying to get you as close as I can. This is a good time just to check that none of your marks have actually moved. What I've had to do is I've had to actually bend this drill bit because it wasn't really clear in there properly, so I've just bent that. The reason why I didn't cut it off is it's handy to actually have that bit of a handle there so you can actually put it on and off easier. All I'm doing is just taking off the belt. The belt is loose, so it should just come off, completely come off and open. The actual, yeah, it's just caught on the engine mount there now, but it should just come off it. There we go. Right. And the way to really check a belt is squeeze it together to see. Now, to be fair, the camera might not show up, there is a few hairline cracks, but I've seen a lot worse. But then, to be fair, it isn't brilliant either, but you know, it wasn't just about to snap. Always a good thing just to check your belt along with your old one. You can put it together. If you're unsure, you can even count the teeth to see. Now with the new belt, you want to look at it because some belts have a direction, they have an arrow which way the belt has to turn. This has no arrows on it, so you can put this belt anyway, it doesn't really matter, but just check your belt just to make sure it's got no markings or anything. So, you know, some belts do need a special way of putting them on. What I'm going to do now is just try and feed it back through, lift up the car again and do everything from underneath now. Try and put the tensioner on, try and tighten everything from underneath, and then we'll go from there. Now I'm going to really struggle filming this part. All I've done is I've just put the timing belt back into its position, but I've left the tensioner off. Now, sometimes this works and sometimes it doesn't. I'm going to try and put the tensioner on, now the timing belt's on, but I might get in the way and it might not actually go on because of the gaps. So what we might have to do is just slightly pull off the timing belt from the water pump. Well, I might have to completely take it off looking at this. And try and put it back on like that. Now, no, it's come off the bottom one now. I knew that went on a bit too easy. So we just I'm trying to kind of film this and do it at the same time, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to. Now that has gone on. Hopefully that came through. What I basically did is I took the timing belt off half of the pulleys. When you take it off half the pulleys and leave it half on, it just gives you that little bit more extra room. Now all I'm going to try and do is screw the tensioner in. Now I've managed to get the tensioner in, and I've also managed to get the timing belt on. Like I said, sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. I'm just tapping the timing belt back round now. Yeah. What I've got to make sure is now is all my marks haven't moved. My bottom marks are okay, so I've now got to hope my top marks are okay. Now, I don't think I'm going to be able to film the next part because there's just no way. Now, the good thing is when you buy a Gates timing belt kit, you get a little picture of the timing belt on the box and where all the marks are, which is very, very handy. But what I'm about to do, as you can see, if this is our timing belt, if I can get it all in, we imagine this is our tensioner here. Well, this actually is. I'm going to tighten the tensioner, as you can see below. I'm going to put a square bar in that hole in the tensioner, and I'm just going to tighten the tensioner until between our top two cams, if you remember, between our top cam here and our fuel pump, like I showed on the beginning of the video, just to see if we can twist that. As soon as I can't twist that 180 degrees, I know I'm in the right tension here, but there's no way I can film it because I need the car down low and I need to tighten it and also check at the same time. And I'm just going to get in the way and I'm on my own. So there's just no way, unfortunately, I can film it, but hopefully this has explained it. So I'm going to tension the tensioner. As the tensioner tensions, I'm going to twist the timing belt at the top. Once I can't go past 180 degrees, I'm going to lock off the tensioner and I know I'm tensioned. Then I'll turn the camera on and we'll see if it starts. Turn the tensioner anti-clockwise, not clockwise. That's the way you tighten this tensioner. It's anti-clockwise. I'm going to do my best to actually film this, but I don't think it's going to come through very clearly. I'm going to be working underneath the car and twisting this at the same time. Now this is the tensioner. The tool I'm using to actually tension this is an S5. It's actually a set I have out of to undo gearboxes, sump nuts and stuff, but it fits perfectly. So it's an S5, and what I'm going to do, as you can see, I'm going to just twist that. As you can see, I'm going to twist it on a cam, and it's going to tighten up that, and hopefully we'll get it right first time. Now, provided nothing's moved, that is it. So now I've got to try and tighten up that without it slipping, which can be hard in itself. Now I don't know how well that came through, but hopefully it came through okay. I'm just tightening this 13mm bolt on the tensioner now. So, marks are okay. Everything looks good. Now, providing the bottom mark hasn't moved, we're actually good. Hopefully you can see that. Bit of slack like there was before. Putting pipes out of the way. Bit of slack, I can't turn it more than 180 degrees, as you can see. So, hopefully, that is done. Providing the bottom marks haven't moved. And good news, the bottom marks haven't moved. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to remove these pins and remove, I can't remove that pin yet because, look at that, hitting the body. I might have to jack the engine up a little bit, to the side a bit. Now, got that one out. Our marks are all okay. I've removed all my special locking tools, which consist of a flat blade screwdriver and 2 drill bits. Nothing seems to have moved, it all seems good down here. So what I'm going to do next is put the bottom cover on. And the reason I'm going to put that on, because I have to put the bottom cam on, and I don't want to, if everything is okay, have to take the bottom cam off to replace this cover. Now there's a possibility it might not be okay, and if that's the case, well then we're going to have to take this off. But if it is all good, well, we're okay, because at least we know we don't have to take this back off again. Alright, so I've just put them 2 back for the minute. Still one more here, but the other cover ties in with that, and there's one up here for the water pump, but again that's for the other cover. What I'm going to do now is put on the pulley again. Now there's only one way it can go. As you know, there's a keyway here, and there's a notch cut out in the pulley, so it can only go on one way. Just like that. Now, I'm just going to wait till my compressor turns off, and then we'll continue. Now for the fun part, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this by hand. It is 22mm, I've got a big long ratchet, snap-on ratchet, lovely ratchet. Turn it by hand and see if it turns. Now I know 2 turns of this bottom pulley is basically 1 revolution of the engine. So I know once I see these here twice, I know I've gone at least 1 revolution. So let's see what happens. We've got compression, that's good. Now I know, let's keep going a bit more actually, marks again, marks are somewhere in around there. I know that this engine isn't locking. Now, we could still have a problem, but at least we know if it doesn't start, it's not down to anything going to get damaged. It could have slipped, but we don't know. So I am going to start it now. I'm going to get it on the floor, jack up the engine, we're going to start it, and well, let's see what happens. Good idea, good time now to test the heater plugs. I haven't tested the heater plugs. Also tested the gasket that I've sealed, so we can test everything together and see what happens. Now, so I've got the engine jacked up. I haven't got the engine mount on, so you have to be careful. I also haven't got the fan belt on, and we also know there's no water in the engine. So what we have to be careful of is make sure nothing's rubbing. Just double check the tension on your fan belt, on your timing belt again and again. That's good. I'm happy enough with that. Now what we've got to just look for, like I said, just make sure everything is fine. I'm going to now start it to see if it starts. And don't be afraid of, you know, if it doesn't maybe kick straight away, it could be airlock, could be anything like that. So just, you know, don't so much mind that. What we're really looking for is, does it start and does it sound okay? Now if it starts and doesn't sound okay, well then we're going to have to go back to square one, line up all our timing marks and kind of go again. Like I said, we've turned it by hand, so we know we're not going to do any damage no matter what. So basically I'm just going to try and start it and see what happens. It is very important you put your bottom pulley on first like we did, because if you try and start this and you don't put the bottom pulley on, the timing belt will come off. So it is vitally important you do things like that. Now, let's see if it starts. This is always the nerve-wracking part. Now, I heard a noise there. I don't know if that's something's rubbing or what, but or if it just hasn't been started in a while. It has been here for a few weeks. We'll start that again. Now unfortunately our battery is dead, so I'm going to have to charge up the battery and try it again. Now hopefully the noise I maybe heard was just the fact that it just needs to build up oil pressure or something, or we could have another problem. Hopefully we don't. So I'm just going to leave this battery charger on for maybe half an hour or so. That should hopefully put enough juice in the battery for us to do what we need to do. And I'll turn the camera back on once the battery's been charging for a while. All I've done is I've put the fan belt on because I'm not sure if my battery's a bit dodgy, or it's just because it's been here for a few weeks now and it's just maybe hasn't been started. So I put my fan belt on, so if it does start, at least it's going to charge up the battery. We do have to be aware we haven't got any water in the rad, so what I'm going to do now is, before I forget, I'm going to top up the water in the radiator. It's just here, hopefully you can see it. Doesn't really matter, it's just water and antifreeze. So I'm going to do that and keep the cap off. We need to bleed it. So I'm going to turn the heater on inside on full speed and on full hotness. Make sure I don't overfill it. Now this is also a good test to see if, oh, we're overfilling now, to see if our water pump's leaking. Let's see if it starts. Wait for the heater plug lights to go off. Hey, hey! Woohoo! Now, it does sound a bit rattly, but the actual jack that's jacking it up is actually tingling, so that's the jack noise. But I have to say, well, that's it. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave this running so it bleeds itself. Just be leaving the radiator cap. Oh, I can't quite see that. Leaving the radiator cap off. I'm going to wait till the fan to kick in. The heater's on full inside. Once the fan kicks in, we know the thermostat is open. All the air should be out. We'll have to top this up maybe, I'm not sure yet. So once all that's done, I'll turn the camera back on, and then it's just a case of putting a few more bits on and we're sorted. Now hopefully you can hear me over the engine. All I've done is I've actually put the engine mount back on because I was sick and tired of listening to the jack rattling. The fan's just kicked in, so it sucked the water in through the engine. We're getting nice hot air inside. Obviously I have to top up the expansion bottle with more fluid. So just pour more antifreeze in. Now that should do as I say. I'll just turn it off so you can hear what I'm saying. It's best to check this in the morning because obviously, well, not so much in the morning, give it a bit of a drive, and after a couple of days just double check your levels, because obviously, you know, we've completely drained the system, and you know, it might just take a little bit more as the drive. We know it's not airlocked anymore. The other good news is the water pump isn't leaking, because as soon as the thermostat opens, all the water comes back into the engine, and if the water pump was going to leak, it would have leaked already. So it hasn't leaked, which is great. Now, I've tightened the 3 bolts for the engine mount, so I'm just tightening up this one now, which I think was a 60. Careful you don't slip off it like I just did there. So, that's that. So we know the engine mount's now on. Let's put the cap on for the expansion bottle. We don't lose it. Now all I've got to do, move the camera so you can see, is put the 2 covers on. And put the wheel on. Sorry, put 3 covers on. Put the 2 top timing belt covers on. Put the cover on for the splash guard for the fan belt, and put the wheel on. And that's it. Smaller cover goes on first. Hopefully we can get it on now with the engine mount being there. I know some of these you can't, some of them you can. Hopefully this is one you can. A bit fiddly. But we'll get there. Ow. Bastard, that hurt. Well, that's one's on. And now I'm going to put the second one on. Well, actually the second one needs to go on first. So the first one, this one needs to come off, which hopefully I can just move it to the side like that. Gotcha. Yeah. And now this one can go back. Sorted. Now, couple of Allen keys. Again, I'm not going to be able to show you because you're not going to be able to see. But an Allen key goes here. 10mm bolt goes there. 11mm bolt goes on for the water pump for this big cover, and another Allen key goes in the bottom. So I'm going to tighten up them few bolts, turn the camera back on, and yeah, we're nearly there. Right, as you can see, I've got that cover back on here. The engine's running, so hopefully you can hear me. There's the fan belt. Give you a rough idea of what the fan belt looks like. All I've got left to do is put the cover on here and put the wheel on. So I'm going to leave it for that. Hope it helps. Thumbs up and subscribe, and don't forget, get your hands dirty. See you for the next